I'd like to uh, introduce you to Samuel Nguiffo, who will, he's a lawyer. He's the executive director for the Secretary General for the Center of Environment and Development. And you will take us to Cameroon, but have a global outlook as well, right? Okay. And you will, maybe more than the previous speakers, raise a bit more about the challenges that we are facing. So, please, Samuel.
Thank you, Olaf. Thank you to all of you. My challenge is to continue the trip. We started with the whole world, southern world. Then we went to Mexico, and I'll try to make you see what things look like in Africa, in Cameroon. We heard about the global trends in forest and land tenure. And I would like to look at the situation in Cameroon. What have been said so far is we are witnessing it also in Cameroon in, I will say, in a very different way, in the sense that it's less theoretical. We live it, we see it, and we live with people who really feel it in their daily lives. We have been seeing increased demand for forest products, for agricultural products, for mining products, and the result of this has been a lot more investment in the past, I will say 15 years altogether, on 5 to 6 years on land. To take the products out of the forest, we need infrastructure. We need dams for energy. We need railway. We need ports. And to build those infrastructure, we need land. So we have a global trend in investment in land and resources. But to get those resources out, we also need some land, a lot of land. And all this land is taking space, resources from communities. We also see some very positive initiatives, like increase biodiversity conservation. This means forest land, this means space, resources again for the communities, or that the communities were using. And we now more and more see carbon conservation project. Very positive. The purpose is to contribute to alleviating climate change, but the result could be an adverse impact on the livelihood of the communities. Before I continue, I would like to say that investment is not a problem in itself. This is not my message. We are not against investment. But what we are seeing is that a type of investment without some conditions, could be a problem for the communities, but not only for the communities. And investment, massive investment at the same time from very different perspectives will inevitably create more competition for access to resources. And in the case of a competition, the weak will not be the winners. The weak are the communities. They live there, but they are likely to lose their land and their resources. The second message I wanted to have after saying that investment is not the problem, I think governance is the issue. I think investment in a very poor governance system could be a major problem for the communities, for the poor, for the weak, but not only. What to say? Well, in a system with a very poor governance, the weak are likely to lose. They don't have any remedy. The standards are being weakened, as Arvin was saying earlier. But again, as I said, in addition to the investment in resource exploitation, we have a lot of investment in infrastructure building. The companies will not cover those costs, so the government has to cover those costs to make the country more attractive to investors. And to cover those costs, you need to get more debt. And Cameroon has been increasing the debt, especially towards China in the past 5 or 6 years, to have in place a lot of infrastructure to be much more attractive than the neighbor countries. The purpose or the assumption behind investment, increased investment on the side of the government is that the resources, revenue will trickle down to the communities. And here we see that the communities lose 4 times. They lose their livelihoods because the land and resources is taken. Revenue doesn't come back to them because the governance system does not allow the money to come back. The government, the country get more indebted to build infrastructure, but infrastructure is not for the population, it's for investors. So we are having a lot of dams, but for the mining sector, not for the communities. We still have shortage of energy in the country. And the 4th time they lose is that they will be paying back the debt. So it's a net loss. Now I have been talking too much. Let's see some pictures here, some maps. Will this work? Okay. This is a logging concession. Okay, this is Cameroon. Oops. This is Cameroon here, and the part on the map is this part. So this is a logging concession. These are the boundaries of the logging concession. And these species, this space, each of these species, the 4 species, are locations to be logged for 1 year. Along this road, I hope you can see the road, and you can see there are some indigenous villages. Indigenous communities rely on land and resources. They are not farmers. They go in the forest to get forest products, to get bushmeat for their livelihood. And this is the space where they used to have their activities. And it's exactly the space that the company, the logging company is logging, French logging company, logging for export. We gave them some GPS sets, and we asked them to go in the forest. I don't see the mouse anymore. Okay. We asked them to go in the forest and to map the trees that they are using. And all the trees in red are the trees that they are using. So we went to the company and we say, are you able to protect these trees, to protect the livelihood of the communities? They look into their books and they say, if we do it, we get bankrupt. Competition. The same trees have a very high commercial value and a very high social value. But at the end of the day, the government will be granting logging rights. And the reason is that the government is looking for income also. But the communities here will not get the income. They will lose the forest, and the income will come to the capital city and will be used for something else. Plantation also illustrates the same type of pressure and conflict. This is a map. Again, this is the map of Cameroon, and we are talking about an area here. It was a proposed concession, land concession for a palm oil plantation belonging to a very big American company called Heracles Farms. And the concession it was really big. These are the boundaries of the concession, original boundaries of the concession. Altogether, 73,000 hectares of land. But those dots here, the black dots, are villages. So 25,000 people were living inside the concession. They are farmers. They also do hunting and gathering. So to create a palm oil plantation, you need to clear cut the forest. What will you do with 25,000 people living there? 7,000 jobs will be created, they said. So what about the others? You lose your farm and then you get a job to do exactly the same thing and get paid for that. I don't know if this is the best deal possible. But again, the rights on the land were given to the company by the government, and the excuse was that we want to have foreign investors. The price for land was $1 per hectare per year. A farmer can make up to $3,000 per year on one single crop, cocoa, per hectare. So again, this is not the best deal possible. Still looking at the livelihoods. Okay, this is the northern part of Cameroon. The map is not very clear, but you will see it here. I don't know if you heard about Lake Chad. It's a lake used by people from 4 countries and providing long-time resources for approximately 30 million people. I got these pictures from the internet. In '63, the lake was this big. In 2007, this is what remains from the lake. It's a disaster. Everybody says it. But if you look at this map, and this is Lake Chad here, and this is Cameroon, you will see that this gray part is oil permit. So Cameroon granted an oil concession inside Lake Chad to a Chinese company. Standards of operation in Cameroon are very, very low. So I don't want to say that it will happen, but it's likely to happen. We are likely to have an oil spill in this area. So we are likely to have, well, to exacerbate the existing problem already. And if it happens here, 30 million people will be suffering from that. The major risk is that 4 countries are around Lake Chad. If one country creates a problem, the 3 other countries will not be happy. This can result into, I don't know what, but, well, if 3 people are not happy and you are alone on your side, many things can happen. So by our decisions, we are really undermining the future of the people. Again, because we think it's the right decision to attract more investors and to have more money for the public treasure, but this money, because of the governance context, will not go down to the communities. Another message here is that the impact of investment is often larger than what you see. I have this map. Okay, Cameroon is here. And here we have Chad, Niger, Nigeria, Central African Republic, and this is the Atlantic Ocean. Like around 14, 15 years ago, oil was discovered here in southern Chad, and a pipeline, the Chad-Cameroon pipeline, was built across Cameroon to the Atlantic coast in Kribi. This was, in those days, a single project. Oil reserves here, a pipeline, and that was the project, that's it. Somebody told us 15 years ago that the pipeline was oversized. If you look at the reserve here and you look at the size of the pipeline, the person told us it's too big for this oil. We probably have more somewhere else, but we did not know. So we asked the World Bank, who was funding the project, do you know about more oil in the area? And they said no. So we asked them to write a letter telling us that every single oil going through this pipeline will have to go through the same environmental and social standards than the one used for this oil, which were the standards of the World Bank and the IFC in those days, before they became more and more weak, like it is the case today. And then suddenly we realized that there was oil here in Niger, there is oil here in Nigeria, there is oil here and here in Cameroon, there is oil in Central African Republic, and the most obvious way to get this oil out will be to link it to the existing pipeline. So originally, the impact of this project was already very high, but it was not the full impact. We have not yet seen the full impact of the project. We will see the full impact when we have this pipeline going from here to here, and the contract is already signed. Oil is discovered here, so this pipeline will be linked to this one. It will be easier to link this one to that one. This is where and when we will really see the full impact. Thank you. If you look at southern Cameroon, here you have, in northern Congo, you have an iron ore deposit, and you have the same here in southern Cameroon. To get the mineral out, the government is planning to fund a railway, 500 kilometers railway, and a mineral port in this area. And again, as soon as this will be done, this part, this is a type of iron belt, lot of iron deposit everywhere here. And this project, this railway will make it more commercially viable. All those concessions will be able to start at the same time. So you will not only have the impact of the railway, but in the next 5-10 years, we'll really have to experience many more than that. I will quickly go on this. What you see on the map here is a protected area. The purpose is to protect the biodiversity, but if you see in red is a road, and the communities live around the road, but this is their influence inside the park. They hunt, they gather products inside the park. So if you fully protect the park, you reduce their access to resources that they use. I said the purpose for investment was wealth generation. Wealth generation without distribution is a problem. And you can very quickly see here, the blue is the top 20. They own in one country more than 60%. In almost every country, approximately 50%. This is a problem. And the bottom 20 never have 10%. This is the distribution problem. Often the bottom 20 live where the resources are exploited in rural area, and the top 20 live where the money comes in the capital city. What to say? I've said this already. I understood that the perspective will be this afternoon, but I would like to very quickly quote 4 of them. First, we will see more tension in the future because we are seeing more investment. We'll have more conflict because we will be witnessing more scarcity. The cost of the conflict will be very high, higher and higher, for the companies, for the communities, and for the state. And at the end of the day, nobody is likely to get what they wanted, what they were expecting. So this is the challenge. Thank you so much.